Hold on.
I see that. I kind of suspected you might.
Really?
Yeah.
Hi guys.
Hey.
Welcome back to our channel where we learn to take care of our own needs first so that we can show up more powerfully in the world, in our relationships, and in everything that we do. We're currently in the parking lot of Maui. It's a mall here. The name is always hard for me to say. I'll just put it up on the screen.
Yeah.
Can you say it?
I think it's Ka'ahumanu.
Yeah, but that never rolls off the tongue for me.
It's hard. Yeah, I'm sure I'm saying it wrong too, but...
We're here because I have been wanting to create a new vision board. We made one last year, shortly after Christmas, with our friends Chad and Gail in China. And it's funny because we made it and we have it hanging above our beds, both of us. Brandon and I, we made it together for the first time. But I just wanted to make a brand new one with you. It's been on my heart just to refresh or like renew some of the things that we want for ourselves.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this to Brandon, and right now, like, our local library, they're not open, and that's like my favorite place to go and get free magazines because people donate stuff there all the time. And I recently found out that there's a used bookstore at the mall here, and in the Google reviews it said that the used magazines were free. So you lovingly suggested today, like, hey, why don't we go to the mall and get some magazines? And that was really exciting. So we did all that. We're probably not going to do it today for this video or anything, but we're planning to do it in the near future as like a date activity.
Undercover agents of the other, beyond gravel, beyond all. A bigger scale the world inhales as we go.
So we're actually filming this on Wednesday, the following day, because we had quite a day yesterday. It was a rough one. It was a rough, long one. And we checked in with ourselves and with each other and decided the best thing to do was to, just go out to a nice dinner, spend time together, and just get connected again. It was really good for us. The day ended much better than how it had started.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, and it was really exciting because we found all these cool books and magazines and stuff at the bookstore.
That was a great little store.
It really was.
Yeah.
Like, I definitely want to go back next time. It's so easy to just spend so much time just looking through old books.
But yeah, so we're back, and it was good. I mean, that we needed that night's rest to kind of narrow down what we wanted to share more. And I think we wanted to talk more about vision boarding. Actually, we're both vision board skeptics.
Definitely. I definitely was. I totally judged it.
Yeah. I'm pretty much anti-arts and crafts. Mostly because I think I'm terrible at it. Plus, I love my digital systems.
That's
and
true. He's very not analog.
Yeah, and then the other reason is it just feels really woo-woo. I don't know why.
Yeah,
but it just gives me that vibe, and I just go against those things.
I'm the same way.
But yeah, you were talking about how great it was, and like we said before, I thought it was fantastic, and I still look at that thing. I mean, it serves as a reminder. It's over my bed, and over time, it just constantly... It kind of startles me with the reminder of what I need to do or what I need to stay away from. Yeah, we wanted to explore that a little bit more. And hopefully we inspire you to try it.
So the first time I made one, I think was last summer. I just really liked the experience because we were at a cafe and I was with some girlfriends. The person that was leading it, she just kind of guided us with like prompts and questions. I think we even journaled a little bit before regarding certain topics. I wasn't ever exposed to the process before, but it was really nice to just kind of even dig into, what do I want? You know? Since then, we made vision boards for this year, 2020, when we were in China with our friends Chad and Gail and the four of us. It was so much fun.
If I remember correctly, this is, we were going to China and we were already bringing them lots of toys and treats that they couldn't, like pirate's booty they couldn't get, that they love, and stacks on stacks on stacks of magazines.
Many magazines.
And because I was a vision board skeptic, I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, why
Okay,
I was so glad you volunteered to stuff our suitcases, because I was just I had it up to here.
Yeah.
With
No,
I
but
hate packing too.
just to give you some
Yeah.
context on what it's like for us to pack for China every year, we take about 4 suitcases,
Oh, yeah.
and 2 of them are like just toys and treats and presents for like all 5 kids and Chad and Gail.
Yeah, 5 children.
And it's always like the biggest project to get everything in. Like once we start collecting stuff for them and then it's time to pack, it's like this big overwhelming task.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I'm like, I feel like I should bring these magazines. You were not on board.
I did not understand. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was even like, this is stupid. Can't we just get magazines over there, But
Did they tell us it was like $1 million per magazine?
it is really expensive to buy brand new magazines. Even here, oh my gosh, you guys, I went to the supermarket the other day and I'm like, oh, I just want to pick up maybe like 2 copies of a magazine just because I wanted to make a collage in my journal. And like these magazines, what used to be, from what I remember in like high school, like $2-3, they're like $7 now. So I'm like, there's no way we're gonna pay overseas prices for magazines. So I just went with this gut feeling that I had without your support, and we stuffed these magazines in whichever way they would fit.
Yeah. I mean, I want to know more about that gut feeling. I don't think I've ever investigated it afterwards because, I mean, I enjoyed it, obviously.
Yeah.
But like it was a lot to overcome, right? Considering how much stuff we had to take over there.
Absolutely. And because I have a tendency to avoid things that create a lot of hassle for me.
That's true.
Yeah,
yes.
that's why like I'm always like, oh, going to the beach is like such a big project. It's like the sunscreen, getting the towels ready, packing the bags, and just having like gathering a lot of stuff. If there are like so many steps, I tend to get pretty turned off. I like simple and minimal, right? So, I mean, in terms of my gut feeling, it's really hard to explain, and I wish it was like something more tangible, because I feel like some of the decisions that I've made or the things that have happened when I follow that gut feeling have been really incredible, right? Like you keep calling basically I introduced Chad and Gail to the Enneagram, and even then this guy was a huge skeptic. And we had like a 3-4 day retreat. You keep calling it an Enneagram workshop, and it was nothing that I like really organized. Like I didn't have a presentation or anything, but I felt like a conviction in my heart, like just share it, just plant the seed. And then like I like to gauge interest and energy levels, right? And it just unfolded into something that I couldn't have planned.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy.
So there definitely have been times in my life where I'm like, just talk about this with this person. And when I obey that, I think really cool things happen. And for whatever reason, guys, it wasn't me or you that told me to pack those magazines.
Oh, just gentuition.
It really, I guess, like you do like to like name stuff. Everything, Genspiration, Gentuition,
Jenglish.
Genuine, Jenglish. Oh yeah, when I was teaching English, he like wanted to call it like Jenglish. So the funny thing was, this vision boarding experience that we had in China, it came as almost like the icing on the cake of this Enneagram retreat that we had in China. So 3-4 days, like we spent like a day per person. So it was like Wednesday, it was like, we're gonna go over type, X for Chad, type X for Gail, and then Brandon, when we discovered he's a type 1, and then type 2 for me. I suggested this vision board thing, and amazing Gail as she is, she just went upstairs to the kids' room. She brought down like 4 blank canvases, and she's like, all right, we got all the supplies. I took out all the magazines, and it was so amazing, because it's one thing to, do it yourself. Of course you can, but because the 4 of us, we knew each other really well, and we knew what each of us needed, especially after uncovering some of the things, through the Enneagram about each other. And there were a lot of tears shed and lots of wounds exposed and all of that. It was really cool to like look through the magazine and not just pick out stuff for yourself, but to be like, oh my gosh, Chad, remember that thing you said yesterday? This is so perfect for that. And to like cut it out, we were like passing stuff for each other, and just, we were collaborating on these vision boards with each other. And it just, like, when I look at mine right now, mine is also on top of our bed on my side. It's just got Chad, Gail, and Brandon's fingerprints on them.
Yeah, and what I thought was really cool is we ended the session by each sharing our own vision boards.
Oh my gosh, I have B-roll.
And what I'd like to point your attention to is this year. Is the game changer year.
Yeah, baby.
It's gonna be the game changer because ultimately, I play to win.
Yeah, baby.
I stopped being critical about my abilities.
Yes.
And I play to win.
Yes.
Right?
Because we love Jesus.
That's my secret weapon.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is talking about cleanliness, but ultimately,
Deep
when I serve
penetrating.
my wife, she is turned on. She becomes hard for me when I serve her with her needs. When I clean the dishes. When I got you, baby.
Sexy vacuuming.
When I fold her clothes. When I bring her coffee. When I serve her.
Yes.
Powerful.
Clean. Yeah.
Clean.
Yeah.
So yeah, we ended by sharing our own. We actually played our own type song by Sleeping at Last.
Yes. Oh my.
Yeah, and so like, you know, the start is always a little shaky because the first person, it's the most nerve-wracking, but by the end, like they were like Chad was sobbing.
Oh
It
my
was-
gosh, we were just crying. We were all crying, and it was during the vision board. Oh, there was like lots of wine and snacks, and it was the living room was an absolute mess. It was like after the kids had gone to sleep, and I remember we did this, and during the vision boarding, Chad was like, "Do you guys have to leave tomorrow? Don't leave tomorrow." So he was on the phone with the airlines for like a good hour and a half, some ridiculous time, trying to change our flights.
Yeah.
And we're like, Chad, it's gonna be so expensive. You know,
He's
don't
like,
do it.
He's like, if it's below 1,000, we're gonna do it.
I'm like, dude, for us to be there for one more day,
Come on.
it was like,
It was beautiful. It was a beautiful gesture.
it really
It ended up
was.
being way more than that.
Yeah, so we're like,
Yeah.
thank you, but yeah, we couldn't let you do that.
So I think the reason it was super powerful coming off of the end of the Enneagram retreat is because we all started to really become
And you can retreat.
yeah, that's how I like to think about it. Is that we were all like very acquainted with sort of the areas that I don't want to say fall short, but the areas that we struggle, right? And so the reason I think every time I look up at the vision board, it's so powerful to me is because it ends up being an encouragement of don't get hung up in this one area where it's sort of holding you back, right? So like as a type 1 and an aspiring imperfectionist,
Yeah.
there's a lot of statements on my board that say things like solving 100 problems or playing to win, right? And that's important for me because I tend to play not to fail, right? As someone that's a perfectionist. Even in those sort of more generic words, like I'm sort of adopting it to the mindset that I need to succeed. And there's more things on there that maybe I'll throw up here that really resonates with me, you know, in line with my issues as a perfectionist or a reformer. You know, I think in that sense, maybe rather than like a vision of how things could be, it's more a vision of how I should behave in order to get the success that I want. And that's kind of what it ended up being for me.
So it wasn't just like result focus of like, I want to have like
Yeah.
a bajillion dollars, but it's like,
Yeah.
who you want to become in pursuit of that. And if that happens, great.
Yeah,
But that's not your end goal.
exactly. I believe those will come. But yeah, for me, it was more about like, well, what things do I really need to do to make this journey successful rather than like, you know, where do I want to be right now in this moment? And hopefully I will magically get there. How about you?
I think for me, I really struggled with self-limiting beliefs. So for me, I really had to stretch myself to dream bigger. So I do have a photo of like this woman in the middle of the ocean on a yacht. I didn't even realize because recently I talked about the boating trip that we went on with our friends.
Yeah.
And it was like in the spirit of helping other people, like treat yourself or reward yourself or dream big, bold, confidence. Like those are the words that kept sticking out to me. We did talk about like the limiting beliefs I had around money. And I know we did a video on that recently, but I think it came up in our conversation last year too, because when I was flipping through, I remember seeing it was a drawing of a girl and her dress was made out of money. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah.
And I cut it out and I was like, you guys look. And they're like, oh, that has to go on your vision board. Like, she's like made of money, you know? And for me, that doesn't mean like, you know, when I make a ton of it, like that's when I'm gonna be successful or whatever, but it was such an exercise for me to get out of my comfort zone and to like kind of declare that as an encouragement to me. So it's not like I wake up every single day and I like study it and I like zone in on it. It's not even like that. It's the fact that it's just there, and it serves as a reminder. So you just kind of, the more you expose yourself to it and you read it, you don't even realize like the imprint that it's making on your brain. And even like some of the adjectives that have been sticking out to me, I've realized like, oh my gosh, that's been on my vision board. It seemed like because 2020 took like such a turn in an unexpected way for all of us, I almost felt like the vision board that I made for this year was like nulled. Like it's been canceled in some sense.
Really?
Yeah.
So interesting.
And especially the way that this year started out and like the break that we took from like working on YouTube and our business together, it was kind of on hold. And then with the news of my pregnancy too, just so many things were not going the way that I had planned in my head. For a little bit, to be honest, this year, it kind of almost felt like this haunting reminder that I wasn't going where I was supposed to be going. Yeah. There's a lot more to that. And it really does have to do with how I lined up my calendar for most of this year. And then with the pregnancy and COVID, like all of that just got wiped. And
it's interesting that you feel that way, because I think when I look at it, a lot of it's still relevant.
yes.
The whole money thing, as you were talking about it, it kind of reminds me that, as someone that's a type 2 and generally tends to squash their own needs and inadvertently squash their own value because you're not putting your own wants and needs out there, you're not teaching people to value you as you should be, that area of money makes sense to, remind yourself that you are valuable, right? And there's certain things on there that are encouraging you to be bold and stuff. So I think this is an interesting way to think about, like, sometimes when there's big transitions in your life, maybe that's why you're wanting a refresher, is because even if the themes remain the same, you can then kind of reorient yourself on this new path that you're on.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Reorientation. Yeah. Well, so when the year started, I felt the feelings that I just shared, but eventually I was seeing how what I had set on the vision board was kind of, I was redeeming it for myself. And then once I saw that, I'm like, you know what? I want to make a new one. I want to make this one even stronger and more specific possibly.
Oh yeah, okay. I like that.
So, I said haunted before, but it was definitely more about where I was earlier this year in my headspace.
Yeah, so I like that as a way or a litmus test of trying to understand when you need to do another one. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's calendar years, obviously that's a good excuse to do it, but like if things are drastically different for you, your situation's changed, it might be just good to take just a couple of hours to do an exercise like this so that you groove the paths in your brain about the new direction.
I like that. I like that you don't have to wait until like the new year.
Yeah.
Or to set like New Year's resolutions when you could really set goals any time of the year, right? Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Yeah, so what are some tips you'd like to share about how to make this a successful thing for anybody that wants to try it?
So the first thing is you want to get some used magazines. And I really encourage getting used magazines because, like I said, magazines are really expensive. They really are. They shouldn't be that expensive. So first choice is the library. I would check with your local library. For us, I know that there's like stacks in the front as soon as you walk in where people just donate stuff. So all of that's just, free for all. But right now, because of COVID and our library being closed, I just Googled like where to find used magazines. And as I was doing that, I found out there was a used bookstore near us that we can go, and we just lucked out and found out that there were old magazines were free. The other option that I also opted into is Amazon has actually really good subscriptions. I just realized I told you not to buy new magazines. Well, let me take that back, because one of the best magazines for vision boarding is the Oprah magazine, or O magazine. I forget what the exact title is. I'm sure each copy is a lot as well, but Amazon has a really great subscription price. And I found that tip on a blog somewhere. So I think if you paid for like a year's worth of issues, the retail price is like $50 or $60, but on Amazon you can get it for like $15 for a year subscription. So I signed up for that because I know that's something that, you know, we can refer to. You can always collect it. If you host a vision board party, you can have people come and like bring their own magazines, and then you can multiply the amount that you have based on how many people come. So that's really, really cool.
Really cool. Which kind of leads us to the next tip, which is to do it with friends.
Yeah.
Especially friends that know you pretty well. Yeah, I mean, I think we're just naturally blind to ourselves and what we need. I mean, like even in looking at our own reflection, we need some sort of tool to see ourselves. And I think that's a great analogy to being able to see some blind spots. So grab 2 or 3 or 4 friends and make it an activity.
This next point I think is really important to keep in mind. It's a mindset thing from start to finish as you're doing this, but it's to keep it process oriented versus result oriented. And we've actually like looked into certain studies about how, you know, this whole thing about visualizing, sometimes it can be ineffective because you might have a vision board and there's like a really nice sports car or like a giant house, and you just maybe hopefully one day this will come to me, but you don't actually take any action to get closer to what that is. And some of the studies were showing how they had like a group of students visualize like doing really well on a test, just scoring really well, versus another group, and they encouraged this group to visualize them studying and preparing for the test. And the group that visualized studying and preparing for it scored much better than the first group.
And the last thing I might say is I would recommend doing it as needed as, you know, things radically or dramatically shift in your life, just so that you can kind of mentally work out what direction you want to go in, and you're not letting life just happen to you.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, and I feel like it'll help you refocus, especially if you're feeling overwhelmed by maybe too many choices, too many possibilities.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I like that.
Awesome.
Don't let life happen to you. Like, make it happen. Or make a path for yourself to make it happen.
Hopefully this inspires you to envision your future a little bit. We'd love to hear any ideas or suggestions you might have, since we're doing it as well, and just kind of get a little bit of a chatter going in the comment section below about whether or not you're going to do it, or, you know, how you're going to do it, or any questions and things like that, because we would love for it to be a group activity. So yeah, please leave a comment below.
Yeah, and if our content resonated with you today and you'd like to hear more, make sure you sign up for the Above the Waves newsletter. We'll have it linked down below. And if you like today's video, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you know when we upload. Thank you so much for spending your time with us today. We look forward to hearing from you down below, and we'll see you guys next week. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.